Hello, everybody. Welcome, 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 everyone. I am Kim Arneson. I am the Outreach Coordinator for the Healer Within Foundation, and I will be introducing our practice leader for today's session. But first, we are absolutely delighted to have you guys with us today. Thank you so much for your willingness to enhance your daily practice with us. We also want to extend a huge thank you to our leader today, Vince Sauter, for joining us in this space. Thank you, Vince. Vince will be leading us through about a 35-minute practice session today. Towards the end of his practice session, you'll find his contact information located in the chat section of this video if you feel inclined to check out his work and latest offerings after what is sure to be a beautiful session. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our practice leader today, Vince Sauter. Vince has been studying Qigong and Tai Chi since 1997 at various local classes. He is now a senior trainer with the Institute of Integral Qigong and Tai Chi. In 2013, Vince started teaching Qigong and Tai Chi classes locally and soon after was hired by the Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York. And since that time, Vince has continued to practice and study to expand his knowledge and provide a powerful learning experience for his students. Among his certifications are the following: Senior Trainer with the Institute of Integral Qigong and Tai Chi, Level 1 Instructor White Tiger 5-Element Qigong, Certified in the Fundamentals of Rehabilitative Qigong and Tai Chi Level 1, Certified Qigong Healer, and Certified as a Tai Chi Qigong Shibashi Instructor. This combination of training has allowed him to connect with his students on a very different level and has helped him build the type of classes and workshops that he has always looked for, but was unable to find on his own healing journey. Thank you to this community for partaking in this practice session. I hope you all have a beautiful day. And without further ado, welcome, Vince. You are welcome to take it away.
Okay, Kim, thank you so much. That's a big introduction. Thank you all for joining us today. And what I want to bring to your attention today is a practice that I've made part of my daily practice for about the past 5 years. I always had some stumbling blocks with Tai Chi and experiencing that flow that everybody talks about. So concerned with choreography and position that you never really settle into what you're exposed to experience and feel. So I've kind of put together a traditional practice known as silk reeling that's as old as Tai Chi is. In fact, they used to use this practice to teach people the fundamentals of Tai Chi, the principles. And I've just taken that and expanded it and made it a little more playful and something that is a little more practical for us to play with as Tai Chi players. Most of you, I think, are familiar with the Tai Chi Easy 5 forms. Those are the forms we're going to be using today, so there's not a big learning curve. And those of you who have never played with Tai Chi Easy before, these forms are so simple and easy to follow. And because we don't have choreography, it's even easier to get into that flow quicker. It's just going to take some practice on your part once we get past our session today. So let's start out really quick just reviewing these principles. And I like to follow Professor Chen-Min Ching's description of the principles of Tai Chi. The first one being relaxation, or being very sung, as they say. Not so much that we're a rag doll and we just go limp, but that we are soft and we still have structure. We still have strength. It's there. It's just waiting to be used. So again, don't focus on being like a rag doll and just being limp, but just focus on being relaxed. The second one is having a tall, open spine. So no matter what practice we're doing today, we want to think about keeping the crown of the head up as if we're gently being lifted up into the heavens, the tailbone gently being pulled down. This opens up the spine and the core area, and believe it or not, it makes it easier to breathe when you're upright rather than slumped in, and it allows you to move a lot more freely. So there's two of the principles. The third very important principle is that whenever we turn the torso as one unit. So the shoulders, the hips, and very importantly, the eyes all turn to the same degree at the same time. So if I'm stepping from one form into the other, I'm not looking in this direction. My shoulders are not facing that way so I can just turn my hips, but rather the whole unit turns so I can just step easily, and then I turn as a unit again into this position. So as we do the forms today, we focus on staying relaxed, keeping the spine tall, turning the torso. Those are the first three principles. The next two are a little more abstract. The fourth being the separation of yin and yang. And basically in Tai Chi, what we're looking for in this is this movement, this emptiness and fullness. Whenever we take a step, whenever we go through a form, we're shifting the weight, turning the torso. One side is full because it's the load-bearing side. The other side is the empty side. And we need to know when that changes, and we have to feel that change so that we know that we're exploring that fourth principle. And the final principle is what they call the fair maiden's hand. And it doesn't really connect only with the hand, but with every joint in the body. If you look at how the hand is, it's never stiff, it's never flat and stretched like that. It's always relaxed. Every joint is slightly bent, every finger. We still have that structure, okay? But it's not only the hand, it's every joint. So the wrist is slightly open. The elbow is always slightly open. We never lock out. The same way with the shoulders. They're never pulled back and stiff and up. They're always down and soft. The same thing with the knees and the hips. So we're going to go through these forms individually, and then we're going to go through them as a practice and embody these 5 principles. That's what this program is all about. If you embody the principles, even if the form you're doing doesn't look exactly what my form looks like, that's okay. In time, it'll refine itself for your body. Remember, our bodies are all different, so the way I do the form may be a little bit different than the way you do the form. So the first thing we want to do is pull that pressure of doing it right out of our heads. And what we want to do is focus on the principles, focus on breathing, and just let ourselves flow, okay? All right, so let's look at these forms. And the first form that we're going to be playing with is a form called waving hands like clouds. And to me, it's one of my favorite forms because, again, it gets every part of the body moving. In this practice, we will always start it with raising both hands out to the sides, and then you can choose which hand you want to start the form with. And just for a little bit of orientation, so we don't have to worry about left and right because I'm going to be mirroring you, we're going to talk about the window side and the wall side. So if I say that we're going to start the form with the window side arm, that means this arm is going to pull through as I turn the torso and then pull back through this way. So this would be one complete cycle. And then this would be the beginning of the second cycle as we go through. So moving through that simple introduction, go right into that first form, and this is waving hands like clouds. Notice how the weight shifts. As I switch the hands, I'm turning back to the wall side. Whenever you switch the hands, both palms are turned in like you're holding something very precious, like perhaps a big bag of chocolate or something that's very special to you. The upper hand should be around the level of the eyes, the lower hand by the level of the lower dantian. We want to think of metaphorically that bottom hand being the wind that's pushing the cloud, which is the upper hand. And when that upper hand comes across, we want to flip the hand out and just lower it down as the other hand comes up. Okay? We're not doing a lot of arm waving here. In Tai Chi, we rarely use the arms, even though it looks like they're moving all over. But in this case, if I don't turn my body, all I'm simply doing with my hands is changing position. But because I'm employing that third principle of turning the torso, it looks like I'm doing a lot of arm movement, but I'm really not. So this is the first form we'll play with, and that's waving hands like clouds. From there, we're going to move into harmonizing yin and yang, and that is when we step forward into what we call the bow stance. Bow stance, we always have our feet shoulder width. So in other words, if I pull that foot back, I'm still shoulder width in my Wuji posture, But if I step forward, I still have that space in between. We'll start this form holding the ball on one side or the other. Whatever side we hold the ball on, that hand is on top. And we just shift forward. Top hand comes down, bottom hand floats up. And that's separating, or that's harmonizing yin and yang. And then we're just going to shift back to our starting position and keep that movement going nice and repetitive. And again, if you look at this from the front, you're going to notice how when the hands reach their final position, my torso is turned to the front, and then I turn back when I go back to my reset position. So again, employing all those principles of staying relaxed, keeping the spine tall, turning the torso, separation of yin and yang, understanding that forward leg becomes weight bearing, the back leg is empty, and then that switches as I come back. And also that fair maiden's hand, where we look at every joint in the body and how it's slightly bent, relaxed, and open. In Tai Chi, as in silk reeling, this is all about opening and closing on every form that we do, whether it's cloud hands and we open and then slightly close, or even harmonizing. We're opening and then we slightly close. Okay. The next form would be brush knee sen chi, and we start that the same way, using this ball, holding the ball position, and we're just going to rotate the ball over. Now the opposite hand is on top, so the hand away from the hip that's holding the ball is the top hand, and we push that down, float the other arm up, and then turn and push again. Torso turns. This case, what we do to get back to our reset position is we lower the top hand, shift back, bring the other hand into play on the top of the ball, and then repeat. So we get this nice fluid motion, focusing on those principles and breathing. Remember, we need to breathe. So nobody should be holding their breath. We should be taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths, that LSD breathing that our friend Roger always talks about. From here, we're going to move into the final form. We're only going to use 4 of the 5 forms. So from here, when you finish brush knee, we're just going to lower that upper arm and then turn and open and go right into cutting a path. When we cut the path, this back hand, the wall side hand, is just going to turn in. And consider this the sharp edge that we're going to cut with. And we're going to shift the weight, turn back to the front, and let these 2 hands pass like 2 sailboats. Once they do, that forward moving hand is just going to drop. And as I shift back, I'm going to slide that other hand down so I can once again open and turn. From here, when we've done the desired number of repetitions that we want, we're going to close out by going back into waving hands like clouds. So to do that, we just shift back and open the arms. Let me show you what this looks like from the front. We shift back and open the arms. I'm going to turn the window side foot out just a few degrees so I can shift forward and step into embracing the tiger. Once I've embraced the tiger, my feet are parallel, my weight is evenly distributed, I'm going to open the arms, and then again, we're going to start cloud hands. Just taking that wall side hand, run through the form. Again, reconnect with that flow, reconnect with your breathing. And when you're all done with that, we close by going back into embrace the tiger and then do a standard closing. Okay? So, taking the forms that we already know, going deeper with them. If you're not familiar with the forms, just follow along the best you can. The more you practice this, the more you're going to embody those forms and embody those principles, right? Because you're going to be standing correctly. You have to just stand upright, stand relaxed, and breathe, and all of these forms will start to fit in for you. So that we're trying to take the complexity out because there is no choreography. There are a few transitions. For instance, our opening will be typical or classic Tai Chi Qigong opening, where the hands leave, all the weight is going to sink to one leg or the other. Step out with the free leg, hands come up and back down. They typically call this opening the door. From here, bring your arms out to the sides, and then we can go right into that first form of cloud hands. When we move into the next form, it's really the only step that we have. All we're going to do is, as we finish the cloud hands, we're just going to pivot the wall side foot out a little bit so we can turn the torso and step and go right into that first form. Okay. Don't worry about getting it correct the first time. It takes a little bit of maneuvering and playing with. Remember, your body is different than mine, so I always encourage my students to kind of see what I'm doing, but then figure out what works for you that's going to be the best. Once we're in that position, that bow stance, and we're going through the forms, you really don't have to change again. But there is a more advanced version of this class where what we do is we take that step, but then maybe the next form when we transition, we do a 180-degree form. And then maybe we go with a 90-degree form into the third form. But that's for a little bit down the road. So you can make this as simple as you want, or you can make it as complex as you want. But I think it's really a way that we could feel that flow and get moving. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to set up now and go through the form. We're going to repeat each form about 6 times. I always like to do everything in groups of 3. So it's 3, 6, 9, 12, whatever you prefer. And once you start to get the practice going yourself, we're going to move through all of these, and I'll talk you through the transitions. We'll slow it down as much as we can. And when we do that first step out, I think it's going to be best for me to turn so you can see the whole side of me as I'm doing the form, and you get to see what's happening. But I'd like you guys to stay face on to the camera. This way you can just follow along with what I'm doing. And again, remember, it's kind of mirror image, so I'll be doing window and wall to get us going. All right, let's give this a little bit of a try here. Feet together, nice tall spine. Take a nice deep breath and let it out. Hands on the lower dantian. And what I want you to do is sink all the weight into your wall side leg. Step out with the other leg. Let the weight settle. Pick up the arms as you inhale. Pull the hands in and exhale as you lower back down, flexing the knees, bringing yourself right into your Wuji posture. Now we lift the arms. And we're going to take the window side hand and start our cloud hand form, turning towards the wall, bringing that window side hand up to about eye level and turning. Turn that outside hand away and drop, and bring the other hand up. Remember, for today, we're just going to play with long, slow, deep breathing. I don't want anybody to hold their breath. We're just going to shift the weight. And let's think about those principles. We're just going to run through them. So that first one is your body relaxed? So check your shoulders real quick. Check the knees, the hips. If anything feels tight to you at all, just give it a little shake. Look at your fingers. If the hands seem stiff and flat, just give the fingers a little wiggle. And just remind yourself that you should be experiencing that very sung attitude. The next is this tall spine. So your eyes should be looking at an imaginary horizon. So find something on the walls in the room around you that you can just use as a target to kind of glance at once in a while to make sure the head is up, the spine is straight. And if you notice any difficulty in your breathing at all, then just, again, check the shoulders and the spine. Make sure you're upright. Moving on to that third principle of turning the torso. The hips and shoulders should be making that figure eight. And we should be able to feel that figure eight all the way down to our feet. So as the weight shifts, it's perhaps around the outside of the wall side foot. And then as we shift over, it's now going to the outside of the window side foot. Across the heel, back to the front toes of the wall side foot. So open your senses to what your body is feeling. Fourth principle, separation of yin and yang. Not only the weighted foot and the empty foot, but also what's happening with the arms and hands. Also what's happening with the lungs. 1 minute they're full, 1 minute they're empty. And then finally check the joints again in your body. Make sure all the major joints are slightly flexed. All right, now let's do a transition into harmonizing yin and yang. As we come across, we're going to pick up the wall side toes and just turn them out a little bit as we lower that window side hand. Shift all the way across into the wall side leg, holding your ball with the wall side hand high. Bring the window side foot forward. And in this position, I want you just to freeze for a second. I'm going to turn so you can watch the rest of it. Okay, from here, I'm shifting forward. Top hand comes down, bottom hand floats up, and then I just turn back to my starting position. Now, if this foot position feels uncomfortable to you, typically we have a tendency to take very big steps sometimes. So you may want to adjust and just pull that front foot in a little bit so you're not picking up a heel or a toe as you shift the weight. It's also going to make the hips feel a little more comfortable. Now, each time you shift into a new position, you need to kind of go through your checks again for your principles. Remember, this is really embodying the principles. It's less about Tai Chi, but embodying the principles of Tai Chi and Qigong so that they become automatic. They become things that you don't have to think about. So when you do actually practice Tai Chi, you're spending less time thinking about those fundamental principles and more time just enjoying the flow and thinking about your choreography. All right, let's transition again. We're going to come back to our starting position. Grab our ball and let's turn it over, bringing the window side hand up on top and pushing that window side hand down, letting the other hand float up. Elbow becomes very heavy as I start to shift and turn towards the window. Top hand comes down. As I shift back, the bottom hand comes up. Try not to watch the hands. Your eyes should stay on the center line of your body, turning with the hips and shoulders. And to keep that upright spine, the eyes have to be following your imaginary horizon line. One of the reasons this is so important is when we are actually doing Tai Chi and we're taking all these choreographed steps, if you're looking other than down the center line of your body, it's going to throw your balance off. So if you do Tai Chi now and you struggle with balance, it's quite often because you're not looking where you should be and that spine is compromised. So this practice is not only going to get you into that sensation of flow and how good that feels, but it's also going to help with, again, those principles and letting you navigate Tai Chi easier. All right, let's make this the last one and we'll transition into cutting a path. That top hand comes down, I turn back, open the arms, that wall side arm is going to turn the heel of the hand forward so I can cut the path. And then it's going to cut down as I turn back and then sweep the other arm down long. Big breath in as I open the chest and then close. Remember, all of Tai Chi is about opening and closing. But since we don't learn it so much as a martial art, the way it was designed, nowadays it's more of a mind-body practice. And what better way to do that than the way we're doing right now, where we can just focus on the elements, focusing on the principles, focusing on the breath, getting the feedback from our body. All right, let's do one more, and then we're going to transition into cloud hands once again. So this time when I shift back, I pick up those front toes of the window side foot and just turn them out a little bit. Arms come out to the sides as I bring the back foot up. And then I embrace the tiger, crossing the arms in front. I'm just going to turn towards you so you can see what's going on. The hands come up, and remember before we started cloud hands with the window side hand. Well, now we're going to use the wall side hand just to complete our circle. Always doing one side, then the other. Turning back around. Again, run that check on your principles. Is the spine tall? Is your body relaxed? Are you turning the torso as you shift the weight? And are the joints open? One of the things you're going to learn early on or experience early on with this practice, and sometimes when I do this in the morning, I just do cloud hands because I just love that form, is how quickly heart rate drops. And it'll drop a lot. I've had mine drop down 7 or 8 points as I go through this practice. Blood pressure drops. The baroreceptors, which are receptors in the blood vessels around the heart, start to send a signal to the brain that you're trying to relax. This cuts the production of cortisol and produces the endorphins, the melatonin, those good hormones that we want to have so we can rest and regenerate. When you decide that you're done, we can cross the hands, embrace the tiger one more time, and then let's shift all the way back into the window side leg, step in. Bring the hands down nice and slow. We'll just rest them on the lower dantian. Take a deep breath, let it out. And that's a nice version of silk reeling. And again, you can play with this any way you'd like and make it as complex as you want or as simple as you want, provided you're embodying those principles, all right? So let's just look at those principles again. Relaxation, tall spine, turning the torso, separation of yin and yang, fair maiden's hand, okay? And try to play with those as much as you can. And just for sake of repetition, we've got about 5 or 7 minutes here. Let's just go through this one more time so we get the transitions down. And remember that you can play with these transitions any way you want. Even on cutting a path, you could do 1 or 2 of cutting the path, and then if you want to actually take the step back so you can get to the other side, that's great. You can, again, there's so much freedom in this practice. So let's play just for a few minutes. Tall spine, hands on lower dantian, feet together. Again, let's drop all the weight to the window side leg. Step out with the wall side leg, I'm sorry. Step out with the window. Inhale. Pull the hands in. Exhale. Open. And using the window side hand, we start waving hands like clouds. We're just going to do about 2 repetitions. 1, 2, actually we'll do 3. Here's the 3rd, and we pick up that wall side toe, turn it out, sweep across into holding the ball and harmonizing yin and yang. Back to your starting point. There's number 2. Here's number 3. Now, back to your starting point, we transition into brush knee by turning the ball over, pushing that ball down, and sen chi. Top hand comes down, bottom hand floats up, and we reset. Here's number 2. And here's number 3, the final one for today. And now top hand comes down so we can open into cutting a path. Sometimes we're so eager to learn new things that we forget that if we take something we know and figure a way to go a little bit deeper, it can mean a lot more for us. Okay, one more. And let's transition into cloud hands, pivoting that window side leg forward, stepping up as we embrace the tiger, taking the wall side hand. Let's just do one cloud hand. And let's embrace the tiger. Shift back in and close. Beautiful. Nice deep breath as we settle. Quick body scan to understand how we feel. And then give that a little bit of shake. And while we're here, let's just do a little bit of tapping on the meridian lines. Make sure we haven't created any blockages. And a little special tap on the kidneys, seeing how we're in the water element season. Down the backs of the legs. Up the front, smooth it all down. All righty. And I think, Kim, we're just about ready to turn it back over to you. Just about run out of time. If anybody has questions about this, please just shoot me an email. Once you get my contact information, I'd love to spend some time talking to you about it. And we'll figure out how to get together again.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Vince. And thank you, everybody, for watching today. We hope that you guys have a great day, and we will see you soon. Bye, everybody.
Take care.